Okay, so we're going to take a look now at using unordered lists or lists of any structure, really, any type for building for the purposes of building navigation. So look here down on the file template we're using for Frog and Toad. We can create a new section here under once we finish the definition list, and we will create an unordered list, a UL. We'll close the parent element right away, and then we will insert a list item, and then inside the list item we'll inject an anchor element. The href, we'll create an empty href as we don't need to point it anywhere for now. Also, I would encourage you to add a useful title attribute with some effective keywords describing to the user what they should expect if they were to click on this link. So I would say, then we go say frogs would be this one here. And then of course a navigation list or a navigation element is simply, we'll repeat that 3 times, simply a list of links. So I'll say toads and bears. Okay. So now the great thing about HTML5 is that we have so much more semantic richness to work with. So for example, if this indeed this unordered list is has been built for the purposes of navigation, then we use a sectioning element created expressly for this called a nav element. And if you're building something that is for the purposes of global navigation on a website, it's not uncommon to put it inside a page level header. For us, we won't do that here. We'll just put it as part of our content. So make sure when you're building navigation widgets that your formatting is very, very clear, because it can get awfully crazy pretty quickly. So we'll save that. We'll head over to our browser to take a look at how the browser sees this this nav element. Reload the page, and we can see simply we have a list as expected, and these are anchors. They're all purple, or the default style is which is the default style for visited, because they're just an empty href. They're pointing to the same page. So a simple list of links. Now this is where we really can see the power of lists, in the sense that very often we have a hierarchy, or our information architecture has a taxonomy that includes nested hyperlinks or nested navigation labels. So what you need to do if you want to create, say, break down the frogs section in this website, you make sure that you after you've completed the anchor element, right, but before you have opened or closed out the parent list item, we go inside there, tab in, and then create a UL. And so we're actually nesting an entirely new unordered list inside a list item. And that is the only way to create that kind of parent-child relationship, because you cannot have any elements between a UL and an LI, and you can't have any elements between sibling LI elements. So that's this UL has to reside inside the LI, between the LI and end LI start tag for the section it is breaking down. And then of course we'll simply create another anchor inside here, and we'll have an empty, and we'll say frogs. Let's say different frog types. I don't know, bullfrogs. And so this, of course, copy this, add 2 more examples. Leopard frogs, green frogs. Excellent. So we'll save that structure. Notice also I've taken great care to ensure that the tab order here communicates this kind of hierarchical structure. And this will become very, very important the deeper we build this navigation widget. So we'll save that again and head over to the browser, reload the refresh the browser page, and we'll see something very, very interesting. If I've built this properly, of course you'll see because the UL structure includes left padding, that padding for the child UL inside is tabbed in yet again, and the list markers are this time in their hollow, or they're what we call circle. So the browser has recognized that this is a child list, and the parent is this list item here, the frog. So that's great, and we can endlessly kind of follow along in that fashion. Say we wanted to break down bullfrogs, so we would inside the list item for bullfrogs, but after the navigation label or the link, so between the end of anchor and the end of LI, place your cursor in there, hit enter a couple of times, tab in again, we'll create a child unordered list. You could put an ordered list in there, you could put a definition list in there if you wanted, if it had links, if it contained links, if that made sense to you, that's perfectly valid. So then we have a list item in here, and then I would of course say a anchor element here, and I don't know, I don't know how to break down bullfrog, so we might say type 1, and then maybe I'll just copy this again for expediency's sake, and maybe type 2, and you can see how elegantly the browser, even the default styles, are set up to handle this kind of thing. And off we go. So this time, again, this tertiary UL, which is a child of the bullfrog's LI, now yet again tabs in visually and has a square list marker. So this is great. We can structure this as we will later on in the lesson. We can structure these lists to look like whatever we want. We don't have to have the list markers. We can craft drop menus. We can craft breadcrumb trails, any kind of navigation strategy you wish. But the markup should communicate that hierarchy and that taxonomy that's based on your information architecture. So there you go. Very commonly, lists used as navigation widgets, and but in particular in conjunction with the HTML5 nav sectioning element.